welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be doing a revision tips video and the revision tips that I used for A Levels and GCSEs. These are mainly ones I use for A Levels, but I feel like you can translate them to GCSEs because you have to memorise stuff in both of them. For A Level I did maths, chemistry and ICT, and in my first year I did physics, but then I dropped that. But I feel like my revision tips were mainly used in year 13 because I developed a strategy that really worked for me, like it really helped me. For A Level I got an A star, an A and a B. I'm really happy with my grades and I worked really hard for them, but these are just like the tips that I found worked for me. Everything's going to be different for every person, and I know there's 3 types of learners, so there's like loads of quizzes you can do to find out what type of learner are you. I'm mainly a visual learner and I think it's kinetic. I think I'm part kinetic. The first revision tip is to start revising early. I know everyone says this and you're just like, nah, I don't have to start that early. I started revising for my A Levels in January and my exams weren't until July, and that gave me enough time to create my resources and memorise all the stuff, because especially for A Level now it's all linear, so you've got a lot to remember. I did do bits and bobs, like as soon as I started the year I started writing my revision cards. My second tip is to have a revision schedule or know exactly what you're planning to do on every day. And I always tried to underestimate what I could do and then move on to the next day if I had extra time. For my revision schedule it was very messy. All I did was take a piece of paper, spread it into I only started scheduling like 2 weeks before my exams or 3 weeks, and I scheduled, like I wrote out the weeks and then I wrote out what past paper I was doing on every day or what module I was revising for, and that way I knew exactly what I was going to do rather than just writing what subject you're going to do. This is my little to-do list thing. I got this from Paper Chase and it was in my recent stationery haul. I use this all the time, like I've got stuff written on it for today, and I just find that way I know exactly what I'm doing. And again, I wrote the exact past papers that I was going to do. So I did January 2009 Unit 4, I don't know, and I'd write that on there. Next tip is to write revision notes with like all the stuff you have to learn. I know this doesn't work for everyone, but I find writing notes, I do this like as I go along through the year and as I'm learning it. I have all the information in one place rather than looking at the textbook. By the end of the year I wasn't even looking at the textbook because I had all my notes down on paper. This is my revision notes, and I do use highlighters. I know you're not supposed to, but I just think it looks a little prettier, and I like my notes to be really organised, so it's really easy to read them. But this is literally the only notes I have left from A Levels because I chucked all of them in the bin because I know I'm not going to use them and I hate clutter in my room. But this is the only one I kept because it's statistics and I feel like I might use that. Tip number 5 is to use a diary throughout the year to make sure you keep. So this is more of like an organisation tip again, but if you use a diary and write everything that's due, and also write at the beginning, as soon as you know when your exams are, write them in your diary, and that way you know what exams to prioritise first. And this is just the one from the works I've got, and this is actually for university. I chucked mine as a diary out because I didn't need it. My next tip is revision cards. Revision cards are the best thing I have ever used for revision. I have a ridiculous amount. I will show you all my revision cards, and these are just the chemistry ones. I didn't do any revision cards for maths just because I found that maths isn't really memorisation, it's learning the techniques, whereas chemistry is very memorisation based, a lot. there's a lot you have to memorise. So I have all these revision cards, and as you can see I coloured in the top of them so I could see what module it is just from a glance. These are really cheap, they're from Asda, and I really like this for memorisation. My next tip is past papers. Past papers are the best resource I have ever used. Past papers, I did every single past paper possible. Like literally, I did every past paper. I would recommend saving the newer past papers until you get closer to your exam, because they're the ones that are going to be most like your exam that you're going to do. It's kind of hard for the new exams because we haven't been given a large amount of resources, but I just used the old specimen ones because the information is the same and a lot of the questions are the same. I had a little spreadsheet on my laptop where I put in the marks, the percentage and the grade so I could track how I was doing. My next tip is to make sure your environment that you're revising in is good for you. I prefer to revise at home or in the library at school, and I always fit my headphones in so I could listen to music and sort of block. See, I like listening to music and watching TV shows when I'm revising, but I'd prefer not to hear my friends around me because I feel like that would distract me a little bit. But I definitely think your environment is a big part in what you're doing. I also recommend taking breaks quite often. I know the whole 40-minute on, 5-minute break is like what they recommend, but personally I did about an hour, and then when it was like between lessons I'd have a 5-minute break. I did have a break, but I liked consistently working for a little bit longer. It depends who you are, of course, but having breaks does give your mind a rest. Another tip I have is do not stop at extracurricular activities due to exams. You can turn them down a bit and if it's a sport, train less, but I would recommend still going to classes, still going to training sessions, because sport and physical activity really helps clear your mind. I started going to the gym just before my exam started, like April, and my exam started in July. Going to the gym really helped me. It helped me clear my mind, and I'm a Highland dancer, so I don't think I missed any lessons due to my exams. No, and I feel like physical activity and doing something like that just clears your mind. You might not be performing at your best because you're thinking about exams, but it just lets you relax a little bit more. My last and final tip is something that's really obvious but people don't take into account, and it's make sure you're getting your sleep. Don't cram before the exam. I tried to go to bed by 11, sometimes 12, it depended, and then I'd be up at 8, so that's 8 hours sleep, and you need your sleep, your brain needs your rest. And I know I felt sometimes where I was I physically can't revise anymore because my brain is going to explode, and that's when you know you need to have a break or go to sleep. I think that is all the revision tips I've got for you. There obviously are quite a few more, and if you want me to do a part 2, this one was a lot about organisation, because I find being organised helped me revise and helped me keep up with stuff and not get stressed out. I felt like because I was organised and I knew exactly what I was doing on what day, I didn't have to worry about the exam. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, and I love reading your comments. Also hit the like button and go check out my blog, because there's going to be more there is an exams post already up, and there are going to be more university themed and sixth form themed posts coming. Goodbye.